All right, welcome everyone to the breakdown here for the MVPS for event number 3. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. So this is something that I had gotten a couple weekends on. So this is going to be kind of more of a breakdown than the review that we're usually used to. So I wanted to start off in the back center, then we'll move over to the snake side, to the middle, and then over to the Dorito side. So something that I think that you're going to see a lot of this weekend is doubling up this back center. I think having two players shooting out to either side is going to be super, super vital. So this shot that's straight through here, you can shoot into kind of blind into the snake and it drops right into where it needs to be. Same thing on the Dorito side. The issue is that you can't really see if they went real deep or went real shallow. So you want to make sure that you're not just assuming they didn't make it. You want to make sure that you are looking to see, okay, I'm having paint there. Did I see someone flash or not? It's kind of iffy, but at least gives you a little bit of that sort of idea of getting those eliminations off the break. As we move out, you can see here that there is also, talking about the back center, a great shot through here. So getting out to this can and even up into this tower, which we'll get into that tower in just a minute here. But this shot through here, if they have it real quick, it's gonna be difficult to make. Now, getting out here, if you're fast enough, you should be fine. They have to come up pretty quick to be able to get this shot through here, but it's not impossible. So just know that maybe throwing some paint back into the middle might be beneficial. There are some bounces that might help out with that. They're not going to be 100%, but they are pretty good to be able to slow that down. But getting out to this can, once you're here, you're safe. Once you're actually in here, that's where you're going to be okay. So once you make it into this spot, shooting the heads up is okay. It's not going to be fantastic. It's not anything that's going to be good or bad, really. When you're shooting the heads up and shooting at the other can, the issue is that you can't really help the snake. You can see here, you're completely blocked out from if they're crawling down the snake, if they made it into the snake from this Aztec going in, anything like that. So if they're already in the snake, you need to get out of here. This is not going to be something that's going to be helpful. Even looking Dorito side, you really can't help a lot until they get past this Dorito 3. So there's that little Dorito, the Dorito 2, Dorito 3, and then this gap here. But even with that, you'd have to know that they're there. You can shoot paint through there, but there's people that can do a better job of being able to help support that Dorito side that are a little bit closer. They're gonna have a better shot. So this is not where you wanna be. If you're using this as kind of a launching point, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, if people are getting shot through this gap for some reason, you know, stopping is gonna be completely fine. You can see even through here, this back center, this is where that shot's gonna be. So you can see if they drop it kind of low coming across, if they shoot it higher. So if you're looking and seeing where is it that the players are actually looking for those particular shots, or where is it that they kind of favor, that's what's really going to help you out. But actually going out to this, we'll call it the God. Usually that's what it is, the entrance to the snake here. Let me go down to a normal kind of size. So shooting into the, oh, sorry, one thing I did want to mention. When you're coming out to this can, this tower does have a good shot through here. Now, they have to go run and gun and have a good shot, so it's not going to be 100%, but this is a shot that you'd want to look out for. So having someone maybe throw paint through there could be beneficial. Every play is going to be a little bit different, so it's not like it's 100% this needs to be there, but it's one of those things that could help you out. Once we're up in this Aztec though, you can see this Dorito side, you're not really going to be helping too much. It's not one of those that you're going to be able to, you know, dive in and then shoot cross. This is going to be more of a transition bunker. And the reason why I say that is when you look heads up, again, you can't help the snake. If they're already in the snake, this Aztec is not going to be beneficial for that. There's a couple other bunkers that are going to be better for that. This Aztec is not one of them. This is going to be one of those bunkers that's helping you get into the snake. Let's say for some reason you're getting shot through this gap. That is somewhere that you could stop and, you know, kind of pull up and maybe you want to shoot into the middle here. I don't know how beneficial that's really going to be, because by the time you get here, they're probably going to be set up in these bunkers, even diving out into these other bunkers on the Dorito side. So it's not like you're going to be able to surprise a whole lot of people. But once you're up into this Aztec, if they're not in the snake, then you're able to sit here and shoot this gap. You probably can even bounce it off the, if I can zoom up so you can see the bounce shot a little bit better. Let me scoot down here. So you can see off this Aztec going into the can from this other Aztec. So it bounces off here and goes into that other can. I'm not saying that's going to be 100%. I think that should be there. At least it's going to kind of keep them honest, maybe force them to have to come up into the middle rather than going out wide. So then you can kind of keep that advantage going out wide. But I don't know that it's going to be 100% guaranteed. It's not a bounce that I tried personally, but I think that the angle of it should work pretty well. But shooting this heads up, you are able to help keep that other Aztec, that other God insert bunker, whatever you want to call it, going into the snake. There isn't truly a true snake corner. So there's not someone that can really get out super wide and have a good shot down the wire. There are some other spots you can shoot down the wire, but if you are shooting down into this other insert, this other God bunker, whatever you want to call it, you can at least kind of keep them honest and kind of keep them from getting in. Now the issue is that they take a couple steps out once they dive, and if they get low, and I'll show you here, once they're low here, they're safe. So it's not a 100% guarantee that you're going to be able to completely keep them out of the snake from this Aztec, because once they're here, you can see if they go low and up, they're going to be completely fine. And even as they come up into here, that Aztec is still blocked out. You can see it, or you can't see it. That's the issue. So you really don't have to worry about that. So this isn't a bunker that you want to get to that's really going to be able to help support your snake unless they aren't in the snake already. If they're further into the middle here, like they didn't go wide and you can get here, then it's fantastic. It's going to be great to come out to here. An Aztec is great to battle out of. You can come over to the top, the side, all of that. So you have a lot of different options here to shoot down even into this gap. Like I said, bounce it off there into the can. It might help to either keep someone honest or help them, or kind of push them into more of the middle and allow you to go further wide. But let's move up a little bit back to kind of a normal height and go into this snake here. Now we're going to get into this tower in a little bit, but this tower is fantastic for shooting down into this gap right here. If you have someone that's quick and can come out and up and shoot into this gap right here, it's going to be deadly. It's going to be really helpful to help slow down the snake from making this move. If there's no if there's no tower shooting into this snake, they pretty much have free range just to dive in and crawl all the way up. Because as you come up, if you look on the inside, yes, the back center can shoot through here, but if they're tight against here and kind of dive and go into the beam, you're not going to be able to shoot them. They're going to be able to crawl all the way up and then come across and be completely safe. The tower is going to be probably your best bet from what I had seen to shoot down into basically the grass into here, and being able to shoot down and stop that snake progression and at least stop them in this snake one. They don't really have a whole lot of great shots. Let's move over here. So they can help out a little bit to shoot into this gap here, but it's not like it's a super powerful, they can get in and do a whole bunch of damage and all this stuff. So it wouldn't be bad to stop them in there. But as they move up, or as you move up into the snake, let's move up a little bit further here. I'm going to go ahead and move this so I can angle it a little bit. When we move over, one is that you can use this nub here at the top of the little W to shoot into a couple different places. So one being shooting into the back center. You can shoot into that tower a little bit. So you have the inside, the top section here, you can see out of the corner. You could technically, this would be risky, but skim it over the top here and kind of drop it into the tower. That would definitely be something that could surprise someone. Let's look here at the wrap. So this is something that you would want to watch out for. If you stay low, you should be fine. But this brick, the center brick, can shoot into this outside. If I get down though, if you are crawling, you should be relatively okay, but you have to stay low. If your pack comes up too high, if there's someone that's in this brick, they can shoot into here. So this would be someone that you want to check off and make sure that you're shooting down into that center brick to make sure that they're not, you know, whether it be, I mean, you could even try to shoot some off of this wedge and see if it kind of skips in a little bit, kind of slow it down a little. The issue would be, if I can get the angle so you can see it, you can see this can does have a little bit of a skim shot that they could drop it into. So if you come up a little bit too high, it'd be something you want to watch out for, but it's, yeah, it's not a fantastic shot, but it could be something that helps you get in. And let's go up a little bit higher and start moving further down into the snake. Once you're further into the snake, like this snake 3, obviously if there's someone in this center spot here, you back up a little bit and you have a pretty good shot into there. Same thing with the Dorito. If they're stuck in this Dorito, that is not good. That means that they haven't really moved too much off the break. This gap is going to be your next biggest issue. So you can see through here that the brick has a good shot through here, so they could keep you honest and kind of just be shooting paint through there. Technically, the brick over here can shoot through here, the wedge, also the other Dorito 3 can shoot through here. So you'd really want to make sure that you're listening in to what it is that your teammates are saying, because if they are trying to bait you across, I feel like it should be enough of a gap that they can actually shoot into here and make it where you're gonna have a hard time getting through and being able to do any damage. Because if they bait you as you're trying to dive across, this gap here from either the little brick, the wing, and I think even the Dorito 3, this gap is pretty decent. So getting through is gonna be difficult. Oh, sorry, actually, let me correct this. Let me move this over so we can see a little bit better. Sorry, it wasn't the Dorito 3, it's the Dorito 4. So the Dorito 4 can shoot through here. So you just want to make sure that you're listening in and understanding that those shots are there. Now, once you get to their side, that's going to make it where it's pretty difficult for them. Of course, you know, the wedge in here should be able to shoot into there a little bit. If they stand up, it's kind of risky, but I think they should be able to kind of keep you honest. Just really check off the middle. I think that might be one of the big things with this layout, is really making sure that the middle is checked off, so that way you know what is it that is the threat as you're trying to go through. So let's move into here. Now I think if you stay low enough, let me go a little bit lower, you should be okay from the back center and even this tower and the Aztec there, and then be able to start catching some people off guard. Because as you crawl through here, you can kind of pop up and you got 1, 2, 3, you got a couple more here, and then be able to start catching some bodies across there. And then of course, once you get to their side, it's always gonna make it easier. That's just the way that paintball works. So let's move back to, and turn it, oh, too far. And let's go up to here. Now, as we move up into this tower, go back to kind of a normal height. And I can turn it so this way you guys can see it. So again, the other tower, both towers can kind of shoot cross. So you just need to make sure that you're aware of that. So kind of have your eyes, like I've mentioned before, with having eyes on who is it that shoots you, because it doesn't matter if you can get to this bunker and shoot 17 people. As you get into there, if you get shot, it doesn't matter. So you want to make sure that you're having eyes on who is it that is your biggest threat. Obviously, the back center is going to be a threat, but once you're here, you're okay. It's your tower that's going to be a pretty big issue as you are coming up. I don't know that I'd worry too much about the Dorito player going out, just because they'd have to have a really good shot and this huge gap back there. But as they go out, technically they could, but if you're playing percentages, it's not as big of a threat. But the reason why this tower would be good is this shot here, and I'll go up a little bit so you can see it. See, you can see green there. If you skim it over the top of that beam and shoot down into there, if you get there before the snake is sliding in, either you're gonna catch them in the overslide, or you're gonna be able to see maybe a pack or something as they're coming around, and at least know, did they get into the snake too? Because if we look over here, no one else is going to be able to know where the snake is at unless the snake is looking down the wire. So this is the only guy that's going to be able to see how far did they go. So if you're looking to support your snake, this is really probably the best spot to do it. There are some other spots you can shoot some gaps, but if we are moving back into this this tower, they're able to shoot into that gap, like I said, and then they technically can shoot into this gap also. It's not the best, but it is something that they could do to maybe stop the bleeding and kind of help out with the movement down the snake. But let's move up into the middle here. So let's say we'll start off on the wedge here. So remember, we had talked about the wedge a little bit. Now we can get a little bit more exact. So you can see here that you are able to help shoot through this gap. The issue whenever you have a more of an angle like this is that the snake player does have a chance of coming up, surprising you, and then wrapping real hard and shooting into that. The downside with the snake is that now you have to be careful of the inside shot. You can see here that these inside shots, but you could technically shoot onto the outside and shoot into the outside here of the snake and try to drop it over the top, and that's going to be able to help to get some of those eliminations. So it's risky, but this middle is pretty helpful for that. If we are moving into this little brick, and I'll look at the snake side first. So obviously, I think we had talked about this already. This gap is fantastic. So if you know that they're in the snake and you just want to kind of play the game, if you come up right here, you can see I can post right here and be pretty safe. If I look over, of course, if they're in our Dorito, that's where it's really going to be an issue. But if I move back and just tuck in, I can post on that guy and wait for them to try to come across, or at least really slow them down. Now, there could be some bounces that come off of here, but I think that you should be relatively okay from those. And let's move this back. Oh, sorry. Let's look over at the Dorito side. So you can help with the Dorito a little bit here. So you can shoot into this Dorito 2 to 3 gap and then into this little gap here. There isn't a whole lot more that you can do because of this structure here. And if you're shooting kind of blind into here, it's not like you're doing a whole lot, but at least if maybe you drop someone on the Dorito side that's shooting that gap, you could have this person switch and have someone else look at the snake, or maybe have the snake look down the wire. And that's going to allow you to see where is it on the Dorito side that they actually are. So that could be something. And as we move back to, again, a normal height, kind of standing up, let's look at this middle brick. Again, we'll keep going across. Something that I noticed is that from this back center, if you shoot off either of these towers, it bounces in pretty well into this zone here. So you don't want to just assume that you have the move. Look and see if they're doing that bounce. I actually had come up through here, and I was probably about here, and someone accidentally, I don't even think they were trying to do it, bounced off the tower into me as I was going up into the brick. So this is one of those things that it's hard to read. It might be really helpful just to dive straight into the brick rather than running straight up, because if you dive in, you might be able to get underneath the paint, and then you can crawl up, and it's going to take a little bit longer than normal, but at least you get there alive a lot more of the time. They'd have to be shooting down low and know that you're doing that. And then the risk of that is that maybe it skips into the grass or something like that. But from this back center, they can shoot the tower on the Dorito side or the tower on the snake side, and it's going to do a pretty decent job of coming into this back center zone and kind of flood the middle here. So just be aware of that as you're moving up. Now, I do like this brick, and of course Greg likes going up in the middle. It's just, yeah, I like going up the middle. But something with this brick is being able to shoot into this gap. The really good thing is that they can't battle you on the outside of this Dorito. So they can't wrap real hard and go through. You can shoot paint through here and have a decent amount of control. And then if they do get through here, you can tuck in and shoot into this gap and be relatively okay. Again, you can push into it and kind of just shoot into this next gap and shoot more here than here. So that way you're really helping to slow that down for the progression down the Dorito side. Let's look here and look at the snake. I think there was something snake side if I remember correctly. So if they haven't gotten into this Aztec, this brick is going to be helpful to stop that. I think they might still be able to go real low and be okay to get in, but it's going to be difficult to see them there. You can see here there's that gap that we were talking about earlier, so you can tuck in. So if you hear maybe the snake is hot and you lost your snake, you know, switching over and shooting through this gap could be helpful just because, you know, it's helping stop them from making a move into your side of the field. So just something to keep in mind there. Let's move into the very middle here. And I don't really like these W's a whole lot. There was someone that I saw that dove from here into here, and I think you can kind of get away with that. The issue is that someone can come through and bunker you, and if you haven't taken a body, I don't know, it could be useful, but they're so low, and this gap around here and around here, there's a lot of paint that can come through the middle and kind of cross. So that it's not a huge... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. Maybe put it in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong and you guys saw this was super successful, but you know, let's actually go up to it and turn. I mean, okay, cool. I can shoot into this gap. Oh, sorry. I can shoot into this gap here, but I can do the same thing from the brick and not be real close and have a chance of getting bunkered. Let's see here. So same thing. I have a great shot into this gap, but I can do the same thing from the brick, and I can do the same thing from the little brick and be a little bit further back. It's harder for them to come and get me. So it's just one of those things that it doesn't really seem like there's a huge reward for going up into these little W's. I'm not saying don't use them. I think that they could be used, but it doesn't really seem like it's one of those, like, get here and you do a whole lot of damage. There was another event that we kind of saw that, okay, going quick into the middle wasn't actually helpful. Like, yeah, it had some good shots, but you can get bunkered out and it doesn't really help a whole lot. So I kind of feel like that's the same thing here. So let's move out into this side. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go out into this Aztec here. So there's that same shot from the back center they have through here. I think if you dive out, you should be okay. But if there's shots there, I mean, that's just the way that paintball is, right? Like it's hard to evade a ball going 300 feet per second. So this tower, same thing like we talked about. They have decent crosses. It could help with getting this elimination, but I think you should be relatively okay. I don't know that I really had any issues getting out here when I played. Running and gunning, maybe, but yeah. Now the issue with this is that you really can't do anything on the Dorito side. So if I'm here, you can see that that pin blocks me out. So I can't really help my Dorito side at all. This would be something that I would use as a transition either to the tower or going up into the Dorito 1. Or the other thing would be if we already had someone go wide and go up into like the Dorito 1 or Dorito 2, I can shoot into this gap and be able to kind of help with keeping them from moving. And I'm pretty sure, this is another one that I didn't try, but I think if you're shooting heads up off this pin, it should skip right into, I think it'll skip right into the other mirror. So if you can get there quickly and shoot right into that and kind of shoot the heads up shot at them and then bounce it off the pin, that's gonna make it real difficult for them to be able to survive. But it also is going to give you a chance to either move out or to move into the middle. But even like if we look snake side, you're shooting blind. So it's not really like you're a whole lot of help shooting this way, unless maybe you're shooting into the God. But there's a couple other bunkers that can do a good job. I feel like this person should really be looking for the move, if they're the one, moving into the Dorito 1 or getting up into the Dorito 2, if you kind of take this route through here, or going up into the tower. So let's move into the tower. So as we get into this tower, again, you have those cross shots coming in from you, or from the other tower, sorry. Something that's helpful is, of course, you can shoot and help keep that cross shot from them getting into the snake, but this one go a little bit further, there we go, is pretty helpful. The issue is that they can wrap and kind of play with you a little bit. Try to go up and go underneath if they went up into this wedge here and then dove across. But at least you have eyes this way, and I think that's something that would be helpful with this tower, is being able to shoot into this gap and know, did they try to overslide and come up, and then at least you know, okay, now I need to dive out to this brick or go straight forward, or at least tell my Dorito player, you might need to look heads up depending on how far they went, which we'll get into in a minute. But this player here that can shoot into this gap, that's the only thing that I would say, is that understanding that if they put you in, just know that they're here or here. It's going to be difficult for them to make this bump if you're still in this tower, because you can tuck in and shoot into it. So it's not 100% that you'd be able to see that, but you have a decent shot into there. I mean, you can see some of the grass there, so it's definitely a good shot. So let's go further into the middle here, and we'll do the same thing as we did. So go up to the wedge first. And just like the other side of the field with the snake, yes, you have these shots into the Dorito side. The only issue, and just like we said with the snake, I don't necessarily like having heads up shots because it allows a 50-50 chance of you getting shot. If the ball is there, you're gonna get hit. So you have to understand that if you're doing this, that it's a risk, that whoever it is, if they're wide, needs to know that if you get shot, then they have that move, or someone else needs to pick up the gap to make sure that they're shooting into here. Just because, I mean, sometimes the shot's there and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just a matter of they had the shot. Now, something you can do from here, if they're not in the snake, is help pick up the snake gap and shoot into that gap and help stop the snake from moving further up. So even if your guy is further into their side of the snake and they try to make a run, you have there's so much big open gaps right there that you can shoot into. I'm not saying don't do this, by the way. It's just have that in the back of your mind, that understanding that if they put you in and go into this bunker, it might not be bad to actually scoot over into this little brick. And the reason being is this shot here. So if I go here and go down like you would actually be playing, what I like with shots like this is that I can sit and shoot and wait for that player to try to go through. Even if somehow they make it through here, they have to try to get me through here, and I should be able to bounce it off here and maybe scoot up or bounce up and kind of skips up. They might have a bounce off here that kind of comes this way, so you just need to be careful of that. But I'm pretty sure you can be okay and shoot into this gap. So if they do happen to move into this this next Dorito and you dive over here real quick, and just make it where their life is terrible. Like, you can shoot into this gap, and they did all this work to battle you in and go, and then you can get here. Something I would say as a kind of a devil's advocate is if you go straight here and just shoot this gap, they really can't come up and wrap on you unless they get into the wedge and have to play the outside of it. So it's super sketchy for them to do that. And then even with them doing that, they have to kind of like backtrack and go into this other Dorito. So I would say of the two options, I personally like this brick a little bit more, just because I can shoot into this gap and be a little bit safer. The issue being, if we scoot over to here, come on, let me move this. They technically have a shot from the Snake 3 into you here if they kind of push into it and kind of wrap. But if that happens, it's probably more the issue of the Snake side dropping. If you are in this wedge, just know that if you're here and they haven't gone wide, look how big that gap is. That is a reason why I would come here, is that if they're not wide on the Dorito side, that you can come here and basically just sit down, skip it off a couple of these Doritos, just shoot the gap, shoot some bounces periodically, and it's going to make it pretty easy to keep them honest from going out wide. Now, it's not going to stop them from going into the middle, so understand that you need to have a middle call, like a middle caution call, so that way you know. But you can be calling this, hey, it's clear on the Dorito side all day, and your Dorito player just needs to know that they need to double check the middle. But let me go back up a little bit and go back out here so you can see this shot that I was talking about before. So you can see here that the back center, technically the tower has it too. Tower's gonna have a little bit harder of a time getting this, but the back center has a great shot through here. So the deeper route might be safer. It's just that if you're setting up and there's someone that is telling your side, or I'm sorry, from the sideline, telling your team, hey, they're taking the back route, whatever that call might be, that's gonna be something that it's just a risk. Like changing up the route is gonna be super helpful. So that way you can get out into this Dorito 1 alive. Because once you're here, you can see that there's the pin blocking you, there's a lot more stuff blocking you. This is your threat, is right here. So basically once you pass this pin, you should be relatively okay as you come up into here. I mean, I guess unless they have a great shot coming through here from going up to the brick, but it's gonna be harder to shoot that on the run. This little Dorito, this Dorito 1, I'm not a huge fan of, just because you really can't do a whole lot. If you need to stop here, that's fine, but there's not a whole lot that's stopping you shooting through these gaps. This tower has a shot through here. I think it might be a little bit better for them to shoot the snake side, but just know that you would need to check that off. The God bunker technically has a shot through there, but it's not 100% that they're going to be looking this way, and you should be able to kind of look and see, are they shooting it or not. It's further out, so you can kind of dodge the paint a little bit easier. Moving up to this Dorito 2 though, I would try to get up here a little bit quicker. When you're actually shooting down the wire, by the way, because the Doritos go to a point, they go out. It's hard to do this way. So they're not straight down, so they're inset. So that 50 Doritos, because they're touching each other, go out to the wire. It makes it where you can't shoot down the wire. So you need to have someone that's inside that can shoot those gaps just to help keep them honest. But just know that if you're the only one over here, it might not be bad just to kind of tuck in and just kind of expect them to be here. Just because if there's no one that can shoot those gaps, there's no one that can stop them from getting all the way up here, but you can at least stop them from moving into your Dorito 3. They can kind of crawl up and come into your Dorito 4, but yeah. So let's look at, let me turn this so we can get a little better angle. And yeah, so you have a shot into the back center. You might be able to bounce it off the tower a little bit. I don't know that I 100% like that one, because I kind of like that you can stand right here and shoot right over the top of, you can see right over the top of here. If you skim it right over the top, it should drop right into that back center. So that's going to be really helpful for you. But this is something that you want to watch out for. Just like we had seen from this little brick, this gap through here, you cannot see when you're coming around. Now, it wouldn't be bad to shoot some. I don't think the bounce is going to work from here. You could shoot some and then kind of like look over and see, you know, is there someone? If you dive real hard across here, you just have to kind of hope that they don't see you, but it's not fantastic. This is another one that you want to watch out for, is this brick. So they can kind of stand up a little bit more. I think I might have gotten shot from here actually when I was playing this the first weekend of the layout release. This gap through here, they can just shoot straight through there, and they're a little bit more comfortable. So you just need to make sure that you're double checking that. Even if you take the inside route, so if you take this inside route up here, you can kind of block out the center brick and the other brick and then dive across. That's an option. You are risking some of the shots from over here, but don't always assume that you have to take the outside wrap and move up in that way. It's just not necessary. But that is definitely two bunkers that you want to check off, as well as the back center. Once you get to this Dorito, you can see how great that shot is. So even if they are there, at least you know and have a little bit more of a chance battling them. And you should be able to shoot the inside and the outside. This wedge and a couple of these other bunkers are going to block you out enough that you can kind of shoot the inside, switch to the outside, mess with them a little bit, and be able to, shoot into those gaps. Let's see. The blind over the top into that can should be pretty good as well. But the big threats are definitely this brick, this little brick. The wedge does have a shot, but you can kind of check off that guy as you're going across. Of course, the center W's like I was talking about earlier, but I don't know. I mean, this is like one of the few shots that has. So if you go hard and kind of dive in hard, I think you should be okay, but just make sure that you're checking off those middle bunkers. Once you're in here, you do have some inside shots. I'd probably be looking more for this move into this Dorito, so that way you can look down the wire if there is someone there. If there isn't, then you can start wrapping harder and start picking off some players. Turn this a little bit more. So into the snake, snake 2, the snake 3 here. Of course, be careful because they have those shots on the inside. So just make sure if you do have someone down your wire, just kind of tuck in. You could be enough of a threat that they are worried about you and don't want to come off of that. So if they have pressure on the inside and the outside when you're in their Dorito, it could open up for other players to move up. So just kind of play off the chaos there. And then of course you get to their side, it's going to be a lot easier to get those eliminations. But that is the MVPS breakdown here. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. This isn't this is the gospel of this layout. It's definitely a interesting layout. I think Alex did a great job with this. I like that the middle is super creative. Both sides seem pretty strong with having some stop gaps that are going to be sort of speed bumps to stop players from making any moves. But tell me what you think in the comments. Is there anything that I missed? And I will be out commentating at the MVPS, so be sure to say hi. I apologize in advance if I kind of just wave and don't say anything, because if I'm commentating, I'm working. So it's not me trying to be a jerk. It's just a matter of that's just the way that things are. But thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.